What if I told you that a seemingly simple dessert bar once held the secret to a post-war American kitchen revolution? In kitchens across America, home cooks began slipping something unexpected into their chilled trays: shredded coconut, tangy lemon curd, a crisp shortbread base, and, in some mid-century versions, a shimmer of white chocolate. This is not just dessert. This is the story of the lemon coconut icebox bar, a forgotten square that bridged the golden years of American homemaking and the dawn of refrigeration's dominance in the 1950s. You will soon see how this shimmering bar of citrus tropical brightness quietly became a symbol of modern convenience, of families gathering around their new iceboxes, and of the layer cake-style desserts that defined an era. Stay with me, because when we peel back the crust, you will discover how each ingredient carries its own whisper of change: lemons imported in bulk, coconut flakes shipped by rail, white chocolate once a novelty. Join me at America's Lost Recipes as we uncover the historic bite, the cultural ripple, and the reason this bar vanished from many tables, until now. Let's rediscover it together. During the 1940s and 1950s in the United States, the advent of electric refrigerators transformed kitchen life and gave rise to chilled desserts known as icebox treats. The layered combination of lemon curd or lemon filling, shredded coconut, and a shortbread-style crust emerged as a clever adaptation of this trend. Although a version of the lemon coconut bar appears in home cookbooks from the latter half of the 20th century, the exact origin remains elusive. Versions titled lemon coconut bars surface online as family favorites by the early 2000s. Imagine a mid-century family gathering, the hum of the refrigerator, the clink of glass dessert plates, and a cool tray of pale yellow squares resting on the formica table. The tang of fresh lemon paired with crisp coconut pulled you back to summer picnics, while the solid crust grounded you in the steadiness of home. Each bar carried both the optimism of innovation and the comfort of tradition, creating a silent ritual of dessert and togetherness. If you are moved by this rediscovered dessert tale, join the journey on America's Lost Recipes and hit subscribe to unearth more lost classics. By the 1930s and especially through the 1940s and 1950s, American home cooks embraced casseroles as efficient, comforting, and economical meals. Canned tuna, which became widely available after commercial canning expanded in the early 20th century, paired naturally with pantry staples, egg noodles, canned peas, and condensed soups. Companies such as Campbell's promoted condensed soups as time-saving sauce bases, and the tuna noodle casserole emerged as a symbol of mid-century convenience cooking. Recipes appeared in magazines and advertisers pushed tuna as an affordable protein, making the dish a fixture at potlucks, church suppers, and weeknight tables across the United States. Over the decades the casserole evolved. Crunchy toppings ranged from buttered breadcrumbs to crushed potato chips, and regional cooks added pimentos, mushrooms, or shredded cheese crowns to transform the plain into the proud. That history explains why a simple bake can feel like a family heirloom rather than a humble weeknight dinner. Close your eyes and imagine a steaming oblong dish pulled from an oven in a small suburban kitchen. The top is golden, the scent slightly earthy from mushroom soup, and bright green peas dot the surface like small promises. Families served it straight from the dish, passing plates across formica counters as radios played the evening programs. The texture, creamy noodles, flaky tuna, a crisp crown of melted cheese or crushed chips, created the type of comfort that anchored meals and memory alike. Recreating this tuna pea noodle bake now is not nostalgia for nostalgia's sake, it is a way to taste the rhythms of daily life from another era and to understand how people adapted industrial foodstuffs into home rituals. If this short trip to the past moved you, subscribe to America's Lost Recipes so these vanished meals return to modern tables and shared warmly nightly. From the very first molten bite you will taste two worlds colliding, the rich, fudgy embrace of a brownie base, and the creamy, chilled elegance of cheesecake, all crowned by swirls of bright tart cherries. This is not just dessert, this is a turning point in American home baking, when boxed brownie mix, cherry pie filling, and spring-form pans met the rising expectations of dessert hour in the 1950s and 60s. Stay with me, because we are peeling back the layers of this square, discovering how it became both comfort and spectacle in one pan. In post-war kitchens across America, convenience cooking surged and dessert bars rose in popularity. The brownie itself dates back to at least the late 19th century, with the first printed mention in 1896 as a chocolate-based cake-like bar. Wikipedia +1. Meanwhile, cheesecake, anchored by creamy cheese, sugar, and eggs, had already cemented its place thanks to variations like the New York-style cheesecake documented by food historians. Tori Harvey +1. At some point, inventive home bakers layered the fudgy brownie under the cheesecake filling, and added a finale of cherry pie-style topping or swirl. Though a precise first publication is elusive, online recipe archives from recent years show cherry cheesecake brownies as a popular bar format in America. Eat dessert snack. Picture a mid-century living room, the hum of a transistor radio, families gathered after dinner, and a modest tray of these glossy squares, the cherry swirls catching the light like polished gems. The dense chocolate base ground you in indulgence, while the cheesecake layer lifted you into delight. The cherries brought the spark of seasonal celebration. Each square was a statement. Yes, dessert can be both easy and elevated. It belonged to parties, lunch boxes, church suppers, and the rare something extra after a weekday supper. From the moment you lift the lid on this golden crisp tray, you are entering a secret chapter of post-war American kitchen culture. Imagine overlapping slices of tender potato, smoky ribbons of bacon, a whisper of sautéed onions, all baked until the top layer crackles. This was comfort elevated in the 1950s. Stay with me, because this dish is not just a side, it quietly marked a turning point in household cooking when goods, new appliances, and layering techniques told the story of progress. In the decades after World War II, home kitchens across America embraced casseroles and layered bakes, efficient, economical, and designed to feed hungry families quickly. Layers of potato and bacon followed patterns laid out by older European dishes like the French pommes boulanger, which placed sliced potatoes and onions in ovens after the communal bakery fires cooled. In American cookbooks of the 1950s and 60s you begin to find side dishes where smoky bacon fat, thin potato rounds and rich cream or cheese merged to create one-dish satisfaction. The onion crunch, the top, lightly fried onions laid on the surface before baking, became a signature flourish of women's club cookery and church potlucks. Every slice carried not just flavor, but the weight of post-war hope, affordable ingredients, modern ovens, and the neatness of one dish all set on the table. Close your eyes and picture a Sunday supper, the hum of the oven, the children running outdoors, the mother pulling the dish from the oven and placing it next to a bowl of green beans on the Formica tabletop. The bacon's saltiness balanced with the potatoes' humble bulk, the onions crackling on top signaled that this was something a little extra, a little special. The bake was about family coming together, the kitchen performing its pep talk about "we made it," and the home as refuge. As time marched on and leaner foods or low-carb fears emerged, this layered bake faded, yet when you taste. From the very first slice of this radiant yellow cake, You are stepping into a mid-century American kitchen where leftover egg yolks whispered a story of thrift, elegance, and show-off baking. Imagine a soft sponge bursting with golden color, crowned with halved egg shells filled with whipped cream or custard. Yes, the shell itself was part of the decoration. This was not merely dessert, it was a statement. We have style, we have innovation, we have dessert that wows without fuss. Stay with me, because behind that golden sponge lies a cultural pivot point, the post-war era's embrace of modern ovens, surplus eggs, and the baking show mindset. In the United States, the sponge cake roots stretch back to European origins, but by the early 20th century sponge cakes had firmly entered American home baking. A specific twist arrived when home cooks began using only yolks, or a surplus of yolks left from egg white-heavy desserts, yielding a deeper color and rich texture. One kitchen blog notes that egg yolks whipped with hot water grow huge and creamy and yield a moist, rich sponge. The decorative use of eggshells, cleaned, halved, and artfully placed atop the cake, filled with cream or custard, makes this version particularly nostalgic. It signals a time when presentation meant something, the hostess wanted to impress without sounding extravagant. The golden yellow hue became a symbol of abundance, despite a period of rationing not far in the rearview mirror. Picture the scene. It is Sunday afternoon in 1959. The radio hums softly, boys play in the yard, and the mother places this cake on a chrome and formica table alongside a crystal punch bowl. The halved shells glint under the kitchen lights, the sponge is light yet golden, and your first bite recalls both velvet softness and sunshine. You feel family, comfort, pride, and a little showpiece magic. That moment, enveloped in eggs, ovens, and shared dessert plates, is what this cake captured. It looked like sunlight trapped in a bowl. A glistening dome of orange gelatin, flecked with grated carrots, pineapple bits, and lemon zest, this was the sunshine salad, a dish that once symbolized hope after hardship. In post-war America, when color returned to kitchens and optimism filled the air, this salad was more than food, it was therapy. Housewives clipped it from better homes and gardens, church potlucks displayed it proudly, and children stared in awe at the way it shimmered beneath fluorescent lights. But why vegetables in Jell-O? The secret lies in the 1940s obsession with balanced beauty. Nutritionists promoted gelatin as both a protein source and a canvas for creativity. Mixing shredded carrots and canned pineapple gave the illusion of health and vibrancy, a perfect metaphor for an America healing from war and rationing. As electric refrigerators became common, mold salads became edible art. Women competed for the tallest, clearest, most symmetrical molds. And for a while, the sunshine salad reigned supreme, its tangy sweetness cutting through heavy dinners, its sparkle turning any table into a celebration. Yet by the 1970s, tastes changed. Fresh salads replaced jiggly ones, and gelatin molds slid quietly out of the spotlight. But those who remember it still speak of its brightness, how a single spoonful felt like summer, even in January. Bringing back sunshine salad isn't just reviving a recipe, it's reclaiming a feeling. A time when hope could be molded, chilled, and served on glass plates. So if nostalgia tastes like orange, pineapple, and courage, maybe it's time we let it shine again. Subscribe to America's Lost Recipes, where forgotten dishes glow once more. From the moment you lift the lid on this deep-baked tray of tender barley grains, earthy mushrooms, and orange carrot slivers brightened by delicate carrot frond garnish, you step into an American home kitchen of the 1950s, a time when resourceful cooks transformed humble pantry staples into elegant one-dish mains. In an era of kitchen innovation, this layered bake quietly bridged thrift and style, efficiency and beauty. Stay with me because beneath the surface of this dish lie stories of post-war food culture, ingredient shifts, and how comfort food found its visual flourish. Barley, once a working farm grain, entered American kitchens in a new guise by the mid-20th century as home cooks sought healthier, alternate starches. Mushrooms, fresh or canned, added depth and modernity. Layering these with carrots and finishing with bright fronds gave the dish a look that matched the sleek new ovens and streamlined kitchens of the era. While explicit cookbook citations for this exact barley bake title are rare, the pattern is clear: casseroles and bakes featuring grains, vegetables, and decorative garnishes became hallmarks of club cookery and home-style gourmet between 1950 and 1970. Imagine the scene: the oven timer dings in a suburban kitchen, the hostess slides the golden-tipped dish onto the Formica countertop, the carrot fronds flutter like a promise of freshness, family glasses of iced tea clink. This dish offered both warmth and a nod to modernity, a comfort meal presented with care, not clutter. Over time, as leaner eating and new sides arrived, such rich bakes faded. But when you serve it now, you are reviving that moment of togetherness, ingenuity, and visual delight. When you spoon into those grains and mushrooms, you are doing more than tasting flavor. You are resurrecting a practice where garnish mattered, where simplicity met sophistication, and where the oven was the stage for both nourishment and presentation. From the moment you lift that slightly browned marshmallow crown and reveal the softly baked cottage cheese base speckled with plump raisins, you are stepping into a 1950s American household where resourcefulness and showmanship met on the dessert table. This dish was not simply a bake, it was a statement. The humble cottage cheese, once a budget staple, was elevated under a fluffy marshmallow dome, turning pantry thrift into party dessert. Stay with me, because behind that golden top lies a story of adaptation, transition, and a kitchen culture embracing both economy and elegance. In the post-war era, home cooks faced both abundance and restraint. Ingredients were available, yet households still prized thrift. Cottage cheese, often overlooked today, was affordable, protein-rich and versatile. Raisins added sweetness and chew, often used in mid-century desserts from church cookbooks and women's club pamphlets. Meanwhile, marshmallows, once an occasional treat, became an accessible topping, melted or broiled into a crisp, puffed layer. While the exact marshmallow crown variant is hard to pin in major national cookbooks, the pattern of cottage cheese bakes with fruit and sweet toppings was well documented in community cookbooks of the era. It symbolized both we made something special and we did so without extravagance. Picture a Sunday afternoon in 1957, the oven timer dings, you pull out the dish, the marshmallow top glimmers under the kitchen lights, and the family gathers around. Someone slides the first spoonful, the whipped marshmallow yields to the tender, wobbly cheese and raisin layer beneath. The flavor is nostalgic, mild tang of cheese, the sweet whisper of raisins, the smoky edge of broiled marshmallow. It is comfort, creativity, and home all in one bite. From the moment you lift that crisp, golden square of bread pressed between the grids of a waffle iron and reveal gooey cheese and smoky ham inside, you are stepping into a 1950s American kitchen where innovation met simple comfort. This is not just a sandwich reimagined, it is a symbol of the era when kitchen gadgets, layered leftovers, and one-dish efficiency ruled the home. Stay with me, because behind this luscious square lies a story of post-war appliance boom, convenience cooking, and a home cook's playful ambition. In the years following World War II, American families welcomed electric waffle irons, formerly niche breakfast tools, into mainstream kitchens. At the same time, Della-style ham and rich cheeses became accessible via improved food distribution networks. When home cooks discovered that pressing ham, cheese, and bread in the waffle iron yielded both crunch and melt, a new form of sandwich emerged, layered, browned, and modern. Although I did not find a national cookbook listing exactly this ham and cheese squares, title from the era, recipes for ham and cheese waffles and waffle iron sandwiches trace back to recent decades and speak to that legacy. Picture a suburban dining room around 1957. The kitchen's pastel walls reflect the gleam of the waffle iron heating up. Mother in an apron sets the sandwich squares on a chrome tray, and the children, flushed from play, hover at the table. The scent of melted cheddar mingles with the faint echo of soda fountain tunes on the radio. Each bite cracked into crisp squares of bread gave comfort and surprise, the familiarity of ham and cheese, the novelty of the format, and it said, "We are modern, we are efficient, we care." Today, when you make this dish, you are doing more than pressing bread and cheese. You are resurrecting a moment when households embraced gadget-driven convenience, when toasting became presentation, and when sandwich squares on the waffle iron were fun, smart and delicious. From the instant you cut into that glossy pink lime block and see the soft swirl of whipped cream rising to the rim, you step into the kitchen of 1958 America, where colorful gelatin salads were the star of the buffet table, and the words salad and sweet were curiously interchangeable. This is not just a side dish, it is a frozen statement of post-war optimism, suburban potlucks and modern homemakers who embraced novelty in glass bowls. Stay with me, because beneath that shimmering layer lies a story of appliance-age kitchens, ingredient surprise, and the subtle tension between convenience and elegance. During the 1950s and 1960s in America, gelatin-based salads exploded in popularity. They were inexpensive, visually dazzling, and perfect for new electric refrigerators and lunch boxes. A flavor combination like raspberry and lime carried both bold color and tang, two attributes that appealed to home cooks looking to impress. Although a precise historical record of the exact raspberry-lime gelid salad with whipped cream phrase is hard to pin down, the pattern of fruit gelatin desserts topped with whipped cream slabs appears frequently in mid-century cookbooks and church cookbook collections. These desserts symbolized not just flavor, but the idea that even ordinary dinners deserved a touch of glamour. Picture a Sunday afternoon circa 1962. The icebox hums, children play in the yard, and inside the kitchen the hostess glides a glass dish Jell-O salad to the chrome table. The raspberry lime color pops against the faded linoleum, and the first spoonful touches your lips, cool, slightly tart, softly cushioned by whipped topping. It feels like a treat, a reveal, a collective sigh of "we made the good life." That moment of gathering, sharing, and delight lies at the heart of this dish. From the moment that glossy ring of rice appears on the table, cooked into a neat nest, topped with creamy strips of beef and mushrooms in sauce, you are stepping into a suburban American home in the 1960s, where the dinner table signaled modern living and one-dish spectacle. This is not just another casserole. It is a ring, a shape that says we have style, even while using economical ingredients. Stay with me, because beneath that circular presentation lies a story of mid-century innovation in home cooking, of convenience fused with presentation, and of families embracing the new visual possibilities of the kitchen. The dish known as beef stroganoff originated in 19th century Russia, strips of sautéed beef in sour cream sauce. By the 1950s and 1960s in the United States, it had been adapted for practical American kitchens, canned soup, mushrooms, sour cream, and most importantly, rice or noodles for ease and volume. A vintage recipe card from 1958 presents beef stroganoff served with rice or kasha. Home cooks soon discovered that shaping the rice into a nest or ring, using bundt pans or ring molds, added visual flair for a modest cost, perfect for church suppers, potluck dinners, or family entertaining. The rice nest became as much part of the dish's identity as the creamy sauce. Imagine, it is a Sunday evening in 1964, the refrigerator hums in the background, the oven timer dings, and the hostess carries a bundt-shaped rice ring onto a chrome tray. Above it rests the warm beef stroganoff, steam rising, mushrooms glistening. The pattern of rice circling the dish forms a cradle for the sauce, the ring implies special. The children pause from their games, the father tips his hat at the table's edge, and the family gathers around. Each bite is creamy, slightly tangy from sour cream, tender beef paired with the neutral rice nest, comfort and show both in one dish. Picture this, the year is 1931. The nation is silent except for the rumble of empty stomachs. Men wander city streets searching for work. Mothers stand in dim kitchens, staring at near-empty shelves. But from that hunger came one of America's most legendary survival dishes, Hoover stew. Named after President Herbert Hoover, blamed for the Great Depression, this stew wasn't born from luxury but necessity. Housewives gathered the cheapest ingredients they could find, elbow macaroni, canned tomatoes, corn, and sliced hot dogs. They boiled everything together in one pot, letting the flavors mingle into a strange yet comforting meal. It was cheap, filling, and easy to share. In the makeshift camps called Hoovervilles, families would gather around tin pots, passing dented bowls filled with steaming stew. Children slurped noodles while fathers, exhausted from job hunting, finally found warmth in a single bite. It was food for the body, and fuel for the spirit. The recipe spread like wildfire through word of mouth and newspaper columns. For many, Hoover stew wasn't just dinner, it was hope in hard times. Each spoonful told a story of endurance, of resourcefulness, of Americans refusing to starve even when the odds were stacked against them. And though it vanished after the Depression, its legacy never did. Hoover stew became a quiet reminder that no matter how bad things get, we always find a way to feed each other and survive together. So next time you stir a pot of pasta and tomatoes, remember the taste of courage, the flavor of Hoover stew. The year was 1932. Money was gone, butter was gone, and lemons were a luxury. Yet on a cold Sunday afternoon, the scent of something sweet filled the air of a small farmhouse kitchen. It wasn't apple, cherry, or pecan, it was vinegar pie. A dessert born from desperation, this humble pie became a symbol of hope during the Great Depression. Housewives of the era learned to make something out of almost nothing, just flour, sugar, eggs, and a splash of vinegar. That sharp tang mimicked the brightness of lemon, giving the illusion of a citrus custard even when there wasn't a single fruit in sight. The filling was whisked together in chipped enamel bowls, poured into a hand-rolled crust, and baked until golden. When cooled, it set into a silky, tangy-sweet layer that tasted far richer than its humble ingredients. Families would gather around their kitchen tables, cutting thin slices to share. In those moments, this pie wasn't just dessert, it was proof that creativity and resilience could sweeten even the hardest times. By the 1940s, as prosperity returned, vinegar pie quietly disappeared from American cookbooks. But its story never truly faded, it remains a relic of survival, a bite of resourcefulness from a time when every crumb mattered. So next time you crave something sweet, remember this Depression-era wonder. A pie that didn't just fill stomachs, it filled hearts. If you love stories that taste like history, make sure to subscribe to America's Lost Recipes. Together, we're keeping the spirit of forgotten kitchens alive.